Usually people think that moral responsibility and the praise or blameworthiness of an act depends on the intent of the actor. But also the consequences of the act seem to matter a lot. This is where luck becomes an interesting factor. If you are interested in philosophical ethics, perhaps you should consider subscribing to my channel. If you drive a motor vehicle, you are operating an incredibly dangerous machine. It can easily maim or kill people. So, I hope you understand that you have to operate it responsibly. When driving a car or riding a motorcycle, you have to focus on what you are doing and obey the traffic laws in order to make sure you do not accidentally crash into someone or otherwise cause an accident. This requires a lot of focus, as you have to remain as perceptive of everything around you as possible and ready to react. For a variety of reasons, sometimes people fail to do their duty in traffic. They drive while not being fit to drive, for example. They may have drank some alcohol, they may be tired, their eyesight might not be good enough anymore, or they might be talking on the phone, which distracts them from driving. In fact, just giving too much attention to anything other than driving may be too much of a distraction. And it might be only a matter of focusing your attention on the wrong thing for a single second that is enough to cause someone to die. But while you might accidentally shift your focus from driving, things like talking on the phone, or even worse, texting, while driving is clearly a choice you make. Or even worse, you might drink alcohol and then jump behind the wheel, and in doing so you are knowingly risking everyone else's life and health. You might be driving normally and still somehow cause an accident. You probably are not as good a driver as you think you are, after all. Even if you did your best, things can still go wrong and accidents do happen. Perhaps you are not morally to blame. But if you drink and drive and then cause an accident, you are much more clearly guilty because you fail to follow the simple rule. If you drink, you don't drive, and if you drive, you don't drink. Similarly, if you chose to talk on the phone or drive above the speed limit or try some stupid stunt, you made an immoral choice. And now you have caused others serious harm. You have to live with that for the rest of your life. Others will also blame you for it, whether you suffer any legal consequences or not. But it is also possible that you made the choice and no accident occurred. Are you now free of any blame? Just because you got lucky this time? Surely not. You still broke the moral code. You still risked everyone else's lives, health, and happiness against their wishes. People die because of that kind of stupid decision, and you definitely knew it before making that choice. Seems clear enough, right? You might be lucky, but the morality of your action does not depend on luck, at least not entirely. It might seem to you like it matters what actually happened. Did someone get hurt or not? But if that is your intuition, can you justify it? If you think the moral value of an act depends only on the consequences, then does it not follow that a person can effectively gamble on the lives of others and not be morally blameworthy? One could justify firing an assault rifle into a city square by saying he isn't aiming at anyone and it is possible he wouldn't hit anyone. It is possible he wouldn't hit anyone, but even in that case, just the fact that he is putting everyone there at risk is clearly wrong. Does it matter how great the risk was? Even if there was just one person in the city square, most people would condemn the stupid shooter. When driving a car under the influence of alcohol, the risk of harm is probably significantly greater. It is also possible, conversely, to do something good just by accident. You can think of a cartoonish scenario where you're having coffee on a balcony, perhaps a cafe that just happens to be located above a bank. There are some potted plants on the railing of the balcony, and you accidentally push one of them so that it falls. But without you knowing, the bank has just been robbed, and the robber is escaping the bank through the front door just when the pot falls down. So the pot hits the robber in the head, knocking him unconscious. The robber is caught, and perhaps you are congratulated and rewarded for your heroic action. But are you really worthy of the praise? It was just an accident after all. You didn't do it on purpose. It was never your intention to stop the robber because you didn't even know of the robbery at the time. It might now seem obvious that intention matters and settles every case. But maybe that's not quite the case. The problem is that so far we have only been considering individual acts as if they existed in a vacuum. But every moment in time has been preceded by another moment that led to the next. Even if we are responsible for our own actions, we can't be responsible for being the sort of persons that we are. You can probably imagine a person being an abusive partner and a parent, and this can lead you to judge the person as behaving immorally, even being a bad person. Perhaps the person is an alcoholic, which might not improve your evaluation of them. But how much of what the person does or is has really been the result of their own choices? If you knew more about the person, starting from their genetic makeup and other biological factors, going through social and psychological factors, you might start to see how life was stacked against them from the start. Perhaps they were born to alcoholic parents, suffered a traumatic childhood, had poor information growing up, not even internet access, couldn't get a good education, lost their job, and so on. Having a bad life is probably no excuse for bad decisions and immoral acts, but once you learn more about that background, you may notice that you no longer wish to judge them quite as harshly as you did at first. And just in case it didn't already occur to you, this would also happen if you knew more of the facts of any real cases you may have heard about in the news. This, I believe, is the point of the moral advice attributed to one Jesus of Nazareth. Judge not, that ye be not judged. In other words, don't be too eager to judge others. And don't forget that even if you are more or less a good person, you cannot take much credit for it personally. You can, to some extent, try to steer your life to a good direction, to make yourself the best you that you can be, but you didn't choose to be the kind of person who would even want that to begin with. In the next video, I will continue this line of thinking, which leads to questions about determinism and freedom of will, and how these metaphysical concepts are related to moral responsibility. See you then. Bye. If you wish to support my channel, please click thumbs up, subscribe, and share my videos. Any comments on the videos would also be welcome.